with the food you eat is to burn to keep your organs alive. It's not for pleasure, it's for survival. Which means, so if we're eating all this food to do what? To overburn. How do you ever get to the system?
Yeah.
Right? Like a cellular molecular, it doesn't go into your body unless it's accepted. Which means just because you eat something, it knocks on the door and says, hey, what are you? If it doesn't know what you are, it does what? It goes in the mailbox. It'll get treated later. Now you have the bacteria, disease, all of that stuff. No wonder why you can't sleep.
All right, guys, we got Travis Horn, the balance guru here today. How's it going, man?
It's going good, man. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming. You're all about balancing, right?
Absolutely.
What's this pose you got right here? You do this every day?
It's a headstand. I started doing this about 10 years ago.
Wow. What's the reason?
I mean, if you can speak and do a handstand, that's actually the key. You're using the proper muscles. Most people, when they start speaking and do a handstand, their feet will come down.
Yeah, I can't do it for more than a few seconds. That's probably how you started, though.
Absolutely. Not against the wall, because the wall's not practical.
Really?
Absolutely.
So you do it just in the middle of the room?
Absolutely. If you put your feet against the wall and you go to do something like this, your feet will go through the TV probably.
I love it, man. Well, you could get seated. I don't want to make you do that the whole episode. I appreciate it, though. But do you have like a routine you do of different stretches and stuff every day?
For me, it's 7 days a week. Health and wellness it's everything. It's we're in our bodies. These are our vessels, and this is going to take us to the end of our lives.
Yeah. I think it's very important to have some sort of mobility or stretching routine, right?
Absolutely. So the minute someone says, huh, that's how I know if they're using the right muscles or not.
Oh, wow.
And I actually learned that from as being a local here on the Strip, there's a guy that has no legs. He's from Nigeria, and he's been out there for over 15 years. 10 years ago, I thought I was the hot stuff handstanding, so I went out there, and of course, he has a story of his board. He has no legs, and of course, his upper body is really strong. And I was running down the Strip. I used to run every single day because, I mean, it's hot. It's Vegas. It's a good little run. And I said, hey, can I ask you a question? He was like, yeah. I was like, can you critique my handstand? He was like, sure. The minute I got into a handstand, he said, how was your day today? I said, my legs immediately fell.
You couldn't even talk?
From that exact moment, it completely changed on how I evaluate my handstands.
Wow.
Because I didn't know the whole time I wasn't even using the right muscles.
So he humbled you.
Absolutely.
So what do most people do? They rely on their arms too much?
They rely on other things other than their core. So I've created something a long time ago that your hands are your feet are your hands. So your toes are your fingertips, your heel is the back of your hand, and the arch of your feet is the arch in your hands. So if you're using your feet like you're using your hands, vice versa, it's a completely different way to channel because your feet keep you upright when you're standing. So does your hands.
Yeah.
So you just got to flip it as in this is your ankle, your wrist, this is your foot.
Interesting. Full body mobility.
Absolutely.
Can you walk on your hands?
Absolutely.
Wow, that's impressive, man.
I actually had, at one point I was challenging people. I think I did 40 yards in like 60 seconds.
Damn. 40 yards. That's half a football field, right?
I have the video.
60 seconds. That's crazy. That's got to be a world record.
I mean, back then, 10 years ago, it absolutely was one of those where not too many people were trying it. But there are some amazing people these days that are doing some amazing pretty walks.
And how did you get into this? Because this is sort of a unique thing to...
Yeah, once I got out of the Marine Corps, I was already leg pressing 1,000 pounds. I'm 135.6, so it just wasn't too impressive for the people around me. I was always kind of the smaller guy, so I just decided to start picking up things that people weren't using. Back in the day, the foam rollers, the Bosu balls, the kettlebells, it just wasn't an extreme way people were working out. Yes, the products were made, but they weren't being used in the way they are used today.
Right.
So I started tossing things around, and at one point, me and my buddy Joe would work out 7 days a week, and then these older ladies and guys were like, hey, do you have Cirque du Soleil tickets? And that kind of was like, wait, I'm in the gym, and now I have people asking me if I'm in Cirque because we were on Tropicana and Decatur, which was close to the Strip. So I guess that little artistry, as well as doing something different, having fun, it just turned up from there.
Wow. You said you were leg pressing 1,000 pounds?
Absolutely. 8.5 plates on each side. That's how I started from the Marine Corps. When I got out of the Marine Corps, I was dipping 4 plates. Like it wasn't as fun anymore because when I was going to end up getting hurt or I could only go so much. Like I was deadlifting almost 385, 3.5 plates, no shoes on, no warm up, no belt. Like that's how I started. But then I was like, what's the next level? So I took the plates off, and I was I got shared in Muscle Fitness magazine doing the squats on the kettlebells. Like all of that's my original, like the dumbbells, the kettlebells, the pistol squat. Like that's how I started all this.
Wow, because you're not even like that. Like how many pounds are you?
At all, I'm 130.
And you were leg pressing 1,000 at 130.
Absolutely.
That's like 8 times your body weight.
100%. The leg press, yes. And I was jumping into a handstand before I pressed it. So
Holy
it wasn't just laying down pressing it. I flew into a handstand, grabbing the leg press into a front lever, into presses, and still getting off like this is boring. Like,
that is crazy.
But the Marine Corps, I mean, we were hosses. They made us real strong in the Marine Corps. We hiked every day with 90-pound packs. So, I mean, I was very strong coming out of the Marine Corps.
Right.
Way stronger than the average individual.
That makes sense. How long were you in the Marine Corps?
4 years.
Okay. Did you get deployed?
Yeah, I went to Iraq at 19 years old, I was a radio operator, communicator.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I can speak, to anybody. You can speak without us. You can speak about us, but you can't speak without us. So for me, it's all about communication. Teaching it Barney style and breaking it down. That's how I became a teacher and a therapist. I teach teachers and I train trainers now because I can break it down Barney style enough where they can understand even a child. Because I have a 12-year-old and I have to be able to, if he can't understand, how am I supposed to teach someone else?
Right.
And from the Marine Corps, it was an extreme learning situation where I jumped over a wall and I blew my ACL out when I was in Iraq. I still had to go 6 more months, but I still needed help. So what I had to do, I had to train the grunts how to use a radio. Their mindset wasn't radio, so I had to break it down completely where it was a life or death situation.
Right.
So now in life, it's not that hard to break something down to someone to say, hey, fat is adipose tissues. Adipose tissues are cells you're not supposed to see. So if you can see somebody's fat tissues and they've gone a prolonged period of time of undiscipline, right? So you got to be held accountable at one point from that situation. Because we can go back and draw the timeline from like 1 to 10 years old. Were you overweight? No. From 10 to 15, were you overweight? So eventually somewhere you have to write down that there was something that happened. And that's all personal, right? It's one of those things where when you learn the body and you understand what you're supposed to be doing here, there is a height and a weight proportionate. Like I checked a video out that you just posted with a guy saying that he doesn't matter if he's healthy or not healthy. And it's like, well, our bodies are height and weight proportionate for our organs to be able to live to at least 100 years old. So your heart, your liver, your kidneys, all of that, your joints, your elbows, your wrists, all of that is an exact science that they've already did. They've already broke it down that if you have extra weight on your ankles, then you can't do this angle. More movement's more life. So if you're not moving, you're not living.
Right. So being overweight's not the secret to living long.
It's not the secret at all because it's the inside, right? So we're not about trying to change the outside. The outside is we all have free will, right? We're not here to judge, but from the inside, it's an actual science.
Yeah. So visceral fat's really important then.
Absolutely. Intermittent fasting is the key. There's no secret burpee and there's no special tomato. If there was, we'd all be consuming the tomato and we'd all be doing the burpee.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of intermittent. Do you do the 3-day fast too?
I try to do 1 time a month. I do a 24-hour fast, but every day it's a 19-hour fast no matter what.
Wow.
That's the only way to get natural HGH in your body. That's why bodybuilders have to do steroids to get testosterone. I just came back from the sperm bank. I'm good to go. Top swimmers, it's worth $1,000 a pop because it's intermittent fasting. It's completely cleared out the system. Like
wow.
That's ancient. That's like ancient stuff. Like I didn't make this up. Like the Indians, the Africans, Nigerians, like if you go back and you do that, they don't know what mesothelioma is. They don't have all these cancers, disease, and bacteria. That is from fasting. Remember, if we can't control what we're eating, what can you control? What you're doing.
Right.
Right? So your body burns to stay alive. That's the only reason why you eat, to stay 98.7 degrees, which means that your body with the food you eat is to burn to keep your organs alive. It's not for pleasure, it's for survival. Which means, so if we're eating all this food to do what? To overburn, how do you ever get to the system?
Yeah.
Right? Like a cellular molecular, it doesn't go into your body unless it's accepted. Which means just because you eat something, it knocks on the door and it says, hey, what are you? If it doesn't know what you are, it does what? It goes in the mailbox. It'll get treated later. Now you have the bacteria, disease, all of that stuff. No wonder why you can't sleep.
And they teach us to eat 3 meals a day.
Absolutely.
Breakfast is the most important meal of the
Yeah.
day.
Who's cooking the food? And you believe in fracking, MSG, chemtrails? Like, do you believe in all that stuff? So how, if you're not really growing the food or you have no control of the water or the nutrients, you can only lie to someone who doesn't know the truth.
Right. So how do you consume your food? Where do you buy it?
You're allowed to consume anything because it's all cancer, but you're not allowed to consume it until you're going to burn it. Which means if you're undisciplined, you have rules.
Right.
I can eat McDonald's if I go 19 hours. That McDonald's has nothing to do with my process. It's shredded. It's gone. You cannot eat McDonald's 3 times a day.
Interesting.
Right? So you have your body is processing. It's burning for 19 hours. Close your mouth. It's burning. Whenever and whatever you put in your body, it's going to process and burn. I don't care if it's a full bag of chips. That's irrelevant. It's all skull and crossbones. A carrot is the same thing as a Snicker bar. It's the same thing. Do you go to the store and you buy zinc, mineral, iron? No, you don't. You buy it in food. Remember, water is the vessel to get the minerals in your body. Same thing with food. Food is the way to get the minerals in your body. You don't go and eat magnesium. You don't eat, you eat food It has it inside of it and it processes it. So so the food in the water is irrelevant. It's what's inside of it and when it gets processed.
But don't you think processed food is way worse though?
It's always worse. Processed worse. Food is always worse no matter what. And I believe if you're not growing it, it's all processed.
Yeah, I want to have a garden one day. That's
Absolutely.
a goal of mine.
Indoor garden, good good water, like sourceful. Absolutely. Which in the world today, it's very slim to none to get to that.
Yeah. What about like all these chemtrails and like sunlight? Pretty crazy,
yeah,
right?
We're deep. We're so deep in the world. Like there are a lot of things happening, right? I don't think we can control that.
You don't think so?
No, I think that I don't think that that the one vote, like it's one of those where I don't believe in the one vote thing. I believe if we all had a problem, we all came together like ants to beat the grasshoppers, it would work. But until we're all together saying we're going to go out and we're not going to grocery shop.
Yeah. So you just focus on what you can control.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You have one life. You have one life to control it. You're your best intern. You don't get paid to be you. So the mind's a very scary place to be. You can be in it or out of it in a split second.
Yeah, I just stopped buying meat at grocery stores.
Absolutely.
Because they inject too much shit in it.
Absolutely. But remember, meat is not the tell all. Right? You can cut meat out all day. It's not the tell all. There's no secret burpee. There's no special tomato. So just because you cut out the meat does not mean your body heals and replenishes. And that's the deeper level, which I teach. It's physics. So before you want to talk about your diet, how are you living on earth? For an example, I'm an athlete.
Yeah.
I work out every day. The farther your knees are away from your midline, the tighter your hips.
The further
away.
Mine are so far away right now.
So imagine though, but that's a chronic situation because whoever created the chairs didn't care about your back. I care about your back. So the proper way is for people who need to start is to sit at the end because that allows you to be up and down with your spine.
Yeah.
Right. So imagine athletes or basketball players. There's a thing where if you remember, your knees will go in, your feet will go out.
Yeah.
That is how you counter that. You should sit like this to counter the chronic hipness that you've already been in. We've all are in this.
Wow.
Watch basketball tonight. What are all the pro athletes? All their knees are touching, right? Because they have chronically tight hips. So before you care about your cheeseburger you have to understand that before you go make money, before you go to church, before you go have fun, you are living in a body and there are rules. There are rules in a body and there are rules on earth that are very important.
Right.
So the pressure, when people say, do I have a headache? Well, because your occipital ridge is connected to your erector muscles, connected to your back of your head. So I have a headache is there's a reason. It's not just cause for no reason. So physics is huge. And then you get to go around and say, maybe I can, since I know what I'm doing on earth and how to live, maybe yes, let's cut out all the meat.
Right.
Because now that I'm sleeping well, I'm understanding how things work in the world. Yes, absolutely. You will absolutely be benefiting from that information now. But if you don't know how to walk, sit, sleep, and be on earth, cutting out meat's only going to do one little piece while you're destroying the rest of the piece.
Yeah. So you're saying there's more important things to focus on, like posture.
Well, posture is a rule on earth. What I mean is we live on earth. We don't live on Venus, Mars, Saturn, or Pluto. There are rules as in atmospheric pressure pushes down 14.7 grams pushing down. This fulcrum on the microphone, if this wasn't tightened here, this microphone would fall, but it's tightened here. So eventually if this was to break, where would it break? At the fulcrum point, not here in the middle, it'd break here. That's because of atmospheric pressure, that's a rule. So this has to look like that because of the rule, the swivel, the way the lights hang off in the road, the reason why a motorcycle has 2 wheels and needs a kickstand, that's a rule. The reason why the chair has 4 legs, that's a rule. Yeah. Right? In our bodies, it's fulcrum, kinetic chain, how things move. So everything that's a bend point, that's a flexion. That's a fulcrum point, flexing, extending the other way. So that's a rule. So when you grab something, what are you doing? You're flexing your bicep, but you're bending it. The kinetic chain is what's firing that. So a basketball shot is your body firing the kinetic chain under the fulcrum against the atmospheric pressure. That is what a shooting a basketball is. You don't have to be a basketball player to shoot a basketball. There's a rule of the action of every single thing you will ever do on this planet. There's a rule, and that's physics. Then you can talk about if you want to go get strawberry ice cream. Because you eating strawberry ice cream, there are rules way before you get to eat that ice cream. Right. So I know how far someone is in their own rule book of the universe and themselves on how healthy or how unhealthy someone is.
Damn. What about shoes? Because they say they compress your toes.
Absolutely.
And your toes should be kind of facing out, right?
100%.
So what's the fix to that?
There is little like jelly devices. Like women, when they get pedicures, they have that thing that separates. There are devices which I'm not too. I was sponsored by them. Something Correct Toes. It's called Correct Toes, and they're little rubber pieces that literally, when you take your shoes off, you slide it on there and it separates.
Oh wow.
Yeah, because remember, we go to the energetic level. If your clothes is not wool, we're going down in the energetic spectrum, because if everything is energy and everything like that, like everything cotton and everything, it lowers our energy level, it lowers our vibrations.
I could see that.
So, but you see how far we go from like a simple conversation of like, oh, should you be working, should you not be working, or should you be eating this and not this? It's like, but the level of like what we could be really getting down to and talking to is like, why do we all have clothes on? Are we all going to go in the middle of the street and start complaining that we're lowering our vibration because the world's making us wear clothes? So we're so far, like, I believe, like, from the one-off information. Like, imagine if all of this information on all your podcasts could be combined to a mega like, that's
like an AI.
You see, but that's where it needs to kind of go.
Yeah,
that's where it needs to
go. We got to
go.
educate and enlighten.
Because we're trying to push and pull and like battle like the online and the Roblox and the kids. Like, I have a 12-year-old.
A lot of programming.
A lot of programming.
I mean, look at us. You went to public school, right? So we went through 20 years of it.
Absolutely.
So now we're finally escaping it.
Yeah, that's why for the parents out there, it's like, I get it. It's hard for us to like do things that we weren't shown as a kid, because we're also interested in this stuff. Like, we're also interested. We did our whole life without double screens and stuff like this, and our kids are growing up with double screens. We're like, hey, we want to sit in front of some double screens also. So no, they say you're supposed to tell your kid everything that you weren't told, not give them everything you weren't given.
I like that.
Because if you just give them everything, then you're not actually teaching. And it's like, yeah, I wish our parents or my dad would have taught me more things than just said, oh yeah, go figure it out. Because I mean, I'm a dad, and my son this is all, I'm doing all this for my son.
Wow.
It's not about them coming up saying, oh, I'm amazing. It's about when I go, the greats are not remembered until they die. It's about them thanking my son, my son going up to my son saying, hey, your dad was awesome. Your dad helped me. Like, that's what the ultimate goal is for me.
Yeah.
That's why I'm still doing this, because I'm retired. I don't have to speak to nobody. I'm retired. I don't need nobody's money. I have 24 hours on my clock, but that's how I know I truly care. Because I represent 5,000 brands for free. I represent everybody. I help. That's how I know what direction I'm here for. That's why when I hear people, I'm like, hey, that's good. You have something for me. Well, I have something for you. As a true humanitarian, I believe a humanitarian means you have something for everybody, which means it got to be food, water, or sleep. That's it. Everything else you do is going to be your free will, but you sleep at night. And I created the only sleep manual in the world. I correct people's scoliosis and sciatica while they sleep.
What? I have scoliosis.
I've solved that. And because imagine you were in the age when we grew up in middle school, they decided to take us in the restroom at PE, bend us down and say, you have scoliosis. They never told us why or how.
Right.
It's because of atmospheric pressure. It's pushing down on our bodies 24 hours a day. So yes, I do have a problem with the purple mattress. I have a problem with every mattress out there that is making people think that it's the pillow or the blanket that's getting them improper sleep. No, there's pressure being pushed down. So whatever your job is, if you don't counter that, you went 8 hours in medial rotation, you went sleep in medial rotation, you wake up tomorrow and you wonder why you have a neck or a headache. I mean, it's the education of the body of the rules of what you're doing on planet Earth.
Right. They told me I had it in 4th grade and never explained how to fix it.
Because our parents didn't know. Our parents' didn't know. Like, that's why I'm here. For some reason, I broke my femur, I broke my arm, a knee replacement. I have 2 torn rotator cuffs, scoliosis, sciatica. All those problems and issues, I have no pain.
Wow.
I wake up feeling like $1,000,000 because I understand the rules. So I don't like to act like I'm special. I don't want to feel like I'm Spider-Man. I don't want to feel like I'm in the movie Wanted that can just go and sleep in a bath and wake up and I'm healed. But I was in the gym a week after I broke my arm, a month after I broke my femur, living a normal life every day. No pain, no problems.
Stem cells?
I just got stem cells. Thank you, Devin Lorette, a month ago. Infinity Wellness. Like, that was something 10 years ago that I told myself I'm going to put my body on the line and I'll be able to take care of myself in the future. So that right there was one of the complete circles that was so personal to me, that I did all this and I got the stem cell. Like, that was huge for me because I grew up with nothing. I'm an underdog. I probably have a worse credit score than everybody. I live in a worse place in a worse car, but I'm Oprah rich. And in my quote book, one of my favorite quotes is, give something from your heart, not your pockets.
Wow.
I have information that I don't want to price it against your lunch, your dinner, your car. Like, I don't want to do that. If I can change you, your family, your loved ones, And everybody that you ever meet, that's priceless to me.
Yeah, because you could easily charge for that consulting
Priceless.
and coaching.
Yes, but it's priceless because then I don't want to devalue my work or my information or my experience.
That makes sense. Why do so many people have back pain right now?
The knees.
So from facing out?
Absolutely. So imagine this is the ditty. The farther your knees are from your midline, the chronically tighter your hips are. So the ditty is this. If you're stretching for the splits, which is legs out, you're tightening your hips. If you're loosening your hips, you're tightening your splits. And I can go on and on. I have an article on about like, absolutely, because I mean, it has to do with lower body testosterone. It has to do with nerves, pinched nerves. I mean, yeah, you could have better orgasms. Like everybody has pinched nerves in their back and stuff like that. But it's one of those where there are rules. Like people don't realize every time you stand, you jump, you sit, you're using your hips. So that's why the number one thing I would say stop doing right now in the fitness industry, just stop, is that band that they put around their legs and they're doing this.
Yeah, I've seen that. You're
already doing 20 hours of hips. You can't put the band on and do more hips. I don't understand. I'm not understanding because why aren't you jumping and touching the roof yet? Why aren't you dunking yet? Right. So if we're supposed to be working hips, so it's like no. I teach professional dancers that you gotta go backwards to go forward, because as a therapist, remember it's strengthening. It's a knot, a trigger point, then it's injury. So everybody is right close to not trigger point and you're done. Why are we doing that when you could do it the rest of your life, but you just got to strengthen the opposite? The opposite is one of the guru methods of like how I teach people to get a faster fastball, how to jump higher. Like you don't have to do anything more. You go back a little bit, you undo, you relax, you release, and you strengthen.
Wow, I need to talk to you. I'm trying to increase my vertical right now. I play in some basketball leagues.
Yeah, it's cellular molecular level, and I can tell I could already see when you sat down that you're hip heavy. Like yes, I mean so am I. But that's the difference between men and women. That's a huge indicator with men and women. Women, they have their legs crossed, so they have the opposite problem.
Right.
Put a woman in doggy style and try to get in doggy style. I'm telling you right now, you will not be able to get to the ground. No, but that's because you're tight hips.
Yeah.
And that's the opposite from female and male. That's a direct opposite.
Yeah.
From a male, from a therapist perspective, the minute that I see a woman with her legs crossed, I already know if I put her on her back, her knees are not hitting the ground.
Wow.
Fact. That's a chronic holding pattern.
Dang.
That's a chronic. Whatever you're doing is chronic. There's no extra, which means you're locking something long weak or you're locking something long short tight. There is no extra, which means if you're doing this, you're lengthening this chronically weak.
Damn.
In which majority of the guys have weak medial thighs. Why? Because they're chronically heavy lateral. That's molecular and cellular. Like that's not an opinion, right? Like your body, whatever you do, that's what it learns.
Yeah, I get neck pain too, so it's all probably connected.
Absolutely, one big tensegrity model. It's held together with sticks and strings.
Wow.
Bones, tendons, and ligaments. That's it. And we're upright.
Yeah. What do you think of chiropractors?
Bones. Remember, disease and bacteria lays dormant in your spine, which means muscles are connected to bones. So if your muscles are tight, it's going to pull your bones out of whack. It's an oxymoron. You shouldn't need a chiropractor if you know how to take care of your body. I haven't not gone to a chiropractor in 10 years. I've broken my femur. Not saying that I don't need to get popped up, but I don't feel like my bones are like, you should be able to. Remember, you have to live like you're Neanderthal. Let's go back 100 years to 1,000 years. There is no chiropractor. You have to be able to live, right? So people don't have an accountability because their injuries. Why? You have an emergency room. You don't have to have accountability if you have to protect your neighbor. Why? Because you have 911. Take all that stuff away. They say, right, for a salmon to get really delicious, a salmon has to have a predator fish. They fill a tank up, they put a predator fish in there so the salmon move around.
Really?
If not, the salmon would taste like.
Oh, wow.
Absolutely. You have to have a predator fish. That's why there's yin and yang. You have to have haters. You have to have that. Without the resistance, if you've never seen the ugly, you won't know what good is. Vice versa.
Yeah.
And so your body, your body can only register one amount of pain. So if you have your elbow problem, that's really a pain in your. You might think, no, you have to focus on the pains. Remember, Western society attacks with artillery. Chinese medicine attacks with an arrow. So it means if you have a headache, you get down to the root of the problem of the headache, not take an Advil and now you're attacking the whole body. Remember, what is a headache? When someone says, I have a headache, what is it? Atmospheric pressure pushing down on the head weighs. If you relax your head against atmospheric pressure, what happens? It falls. So it's not going to fall. So we're doing what? We're using the erector muscles connected what? To the occipital ridge, which is muscles, right? So like, what is a headache? You're doing it. Like, it isn't just what is a headache. I haven't had a headache in 10 years. Like, I don't even know what a headache is. I don't even know what a headache stems from. I don't know what that is.
You get brain fog?
No, I don't know what that is. Like that, I don't like right now. Those hurt, don't want, can't. It's in a box, tied it up. Mariana's Trench, deepest hole. We don't. So I don't hear it.
A lot of people manifest it too.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's manifestation is everything. You have the dictionary. You can use any words that you want. Whether you say you're right or wrong, you're always right.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not gonna argue. If you have a headache, yes, you do. If you're strong, yes, you are. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, narcissism, right?
Absolutely. Like, whatever you want.
Human nature.
Yep.
But it sounds like you go back to primitive ways of
absolutely.
living.
The Marine Corps probably did that because it's survival. You know, like we complacency kills, and like when you go to like an extreme situation, then yeah, complacency means death. Yeah, I guess maybe if you don't click your seatbelt, like yeah, you're probably not gonna. The odds of you, I mean, it's people die all the time without wearing a seatbelt.
Yeah.
Like, please wear your seatbelt. But it's one of those things where people get complacent within themselves, right? I tell people when you're going through something, hurt people hurt people. Which means if you don't want to hurt yourself, as in you don't shower, you don't bathe, you're not healthy, you hurt others. You go online, you be rude. So you have two options, or you throw both of those out and you use it as leverage. And that's what happened to me. My foster care, I'm being a single dad, all the child support system. I used all of my injuries. I used all of it as leverage.
Wow, that's leverage. What do you mean?
Leverage, as in I understand what anxiety is. So when I went to massage school, I learned what fight or flight is. So like I always heard people say, man, I got so much anxiety. I can't do this. I can't do this. I was like, well, you know what? Let me go to massage school. I'm going to learn cellular molecular of what anxiety is. Anxiety is extreme fight or flight. Extreme fight or flight is when you have the most strength in your entire life, right? You heard the story of the mother's in a car. It gets flipped over. It's burning. She needs to get her kid out. She can lift the car up.
Yeah.
That's extreme anxiety, which is fight or flight. So I believe when you do have anxiety, that is what you're supposed to be doing. That is when you are the strongest at your life. Is when that, and remember, some people get anxiety at times or places they have no idea it was possible. Why didn't you hone in on that?
Right.
Who told you that this was a weak point? It's a strong point. Like, I'm drenched in sweat.
Right.
This is what I'm supposed to be doing right now.
Well, that's the messaging.
I wouldn't be speaking to you if I didn't have anxiety, if my heart rate wasn't at, I wouldn't be speaking to you. That's how I know I'm here, and my body's gonna say, yo, you're gonna have the energy that you need. And that's how I use the leverage.
Well, Western medicine paints anxiety in a bad light.
Yep, exactly.
They try to medicate it and get rid of it.
Yep, attacking with an arrow, attacking with artillery, absolutely.
Yeah, but yeah, you can really embrace it, or you can, let it consume you.
Absolutely, because imagine the monks, and imagine, absolutely, those people completely, fully embrace the spirit and embodiment of themselves.
Yeah.
And they don't have no extra things or extra this or sugars or bags of chips and they don't have any of that stuff. So we're not going to say that there's not a way to tap into our ultimate power.
It is crazy. When you look at Amish community, none of them have mental problems.
Nope. And they bath one time a day on Saturdays before church on Sundays, right? Like, they have no cell phones. Like, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it is nuts. I mean, 1 out of 13 kids have autism now? Something crazy like that?
Absolutely.
I mean, that is insane.
Yeah, and imagine the food. It's the food also, like, it's not only the food. If you can't control the food, we have to get these kids, we have to get people active. My quote is, anything other than nothing is something. Right. Which means, like, if I asked you, did you jump today? And you didn't do it at all, the answer is 0. If you just jumped a little bit, like, 1 is more than 0, and then eventually your body will go 1 and then 2 and then 3 and then eventually. But keeping it in the 0 to me is so detrimental because you just don't get to go back. An example is this. I just got back from Guatemala. Shout out to Don Pablo. I'm creating my own coffee brand. Nice. And I went out to the Airbnb, and it was beautiful, and the water was warm. And for some reason, I did not jump in. I wanted to. I was like, you know what? I'm about to just rip and just jump in. I called my best friend. I was like, man, I just got back, man. I don't know why I didn't jump in that water. He goes, because there could have been animals in that water, bro, and you were alone, and you disappear. I'm like, all right, cool thought. Yeah, maybe I'm getting older. But like, all I thought is you cannot go back. And I was in such a place where, like, I am almost trying to convince myself that was not okay to not jump in there, even if there was an alligator. Wow. Because it was the memory that I know we cannot go back, right? Like, we have today's 24 hours. And this is what I tell people to get on the motivational track. Like, right now, today, I'm speaking like it's viral. I know it's not viral. What I say is whatever happens today is from the past. Whatever you do today is for the future. So the reason why I'm on this podcast is not from what I did today. It's from what I did 10 years ago, is why I'm sitting here right now. That's what allows me to say whatever I need now, so I know in the future that's when this is going to be needed.
Wow.
And that's what I tell people. When you wake up, yes, you might not be viral or go viral today, but if you skip out on today, if nothing happens today, it's because in the past you sat down and said, I'm not going to do anything. So every single day I wake up, I'm telling you, it's the most amazing things.
Compound effect, right?
It's crazy. And then imagine this is how you battle Murphy's Law and the law of attraction. Because that's what I get caught with people all the time. They're like, man, I want so much the law of attraction. But then you get caught with Murphy's Law. Let me give you an example. So you order a pizza, you're super hungry. The pizza says 45 minutes, 30 minutes go by. You're like, man, where's this pizza at? Like, you are putting that pizza guy at a red light, a flat tire. They messed the pizza up. That's Murphy's Law, saying you want something so bad, you're so hungry, the pizza guy is going to get stuck. The way you control Murphy's Law by still maintaining law of attraction is you play with Murphy. The way you play with Murphy is this. Go in the shower. 30 minutes after you order a pizza, jump in the shower. The minute that hot water gets on, the guy's gonna be at your front door. He's gonna get there early, and we can go even deeper. Like start, masturbate. You know what I'm saying? do something where if the pizza guy comes right now, there's a problem.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like do your laundry. Like you're saying, like go and put the laundry in. Like go do something. Like get on an important phone call. Like call somebody super important that you know you cannot mess this phone call up. Like, all right, I'm gonna call somebody, just whatever important, whatever that means to you. And that is how you play with Murphy's Law and still keep the law of attraction. Because you can't do one or the other. Remember, the universe doesn't speak English, it speaks vibrations.
Right.
So like you can sit there all day and say, I want my pizza, I want pizza, I want pizza. That's not how it works.
I love that. Yeah, too many people think they could just manifest stuff and it just happens.
No, it doesn't work that way, exactly.
Yeah, there's a lot that goes into it, man. I mean, it's a process and it takes time too.
Absolutely.
Yeah, people think it's an overnight thing, but look how it took 10, 20 years.
Yeah, I'm 13 years in right now. Every single day, your birthday, my birthday. I've never went to a barbecue, a wedding, none of that. Wow. I live in Vegas. I don't go to the club, nothing. I'm by the book 7 days a week because I'm not done yet.
Damn.
I'm a humanitarian, which means I'm not okay with opening my fridge when I'm walking outside and there's people sleeping on the street. Like, I'm not okay with that. I'll live my whole life, because if that's how the life's going to be, then I'm going to live my whole life like this. I've already accepted that. I already know why I'm here, what I'm doing. Like, and I've lived 10 lives over already.
Go ahead.
No, I'm just saying, I've already lived like most people would. I've already done more things than most people will ever do in their lives.
Did you ever go through a phase of wanting money? Because I feel like that's biological. I feel like you're fighting against it.
I think the money will come. I always felt like I was on top of a mountain where there was a storm, and I think that yes, like when I go for like TED Talks and I have my 8 or 9 books, like yeah, I just think that people have tried to donate, but I think more money, more problems, and if I would have accepted that, I don't think I would have pushed so hard to get where I am today. So like I do believe everything has to happen for a reason. I had to break my femur. I had to do that. I do believe if I had the money and I grew up like that, I wouldn't be here and I wouldn't have worked so hard. So absolutely, I do believe hard work will pay off. And when it does, I'm hoping before my son's in 18. Because he's about to be a freshman, right? So like from my perspective as a dad, I still have a little bit of time. I could backflip still, because if I can't backflip while I'm 40, I'm going to be upset. My son's he's a baseball player, which means I have to be the dad that can backflip still, like all that stuff. Like that's the ultimate goal of me still physically going.
Absolutely.
But I do believe that it will pay off. It will pay off, and that will be a default thing. But the beauty is, since I'm not focused, yeah, I mean, trust me, I'm waiting for my turn.
That patience and resilience is hard to teach.
It's very,
I think
very
you're
hard.
born with that. I don't think that's teachable. Most people wouldn't want to be patient for 10, 13 years. Like
yeah,
that.
most people don't understand. My family, some of my families just think that I'm ruining it. Like I'm not helping the family out. Like I could be rich, I could be helping. Nah, like I don't look at it that way.
Yeah, I'm sure you get a lot of kickback for that.
Yeah.
Humanitarians are a rare breed these days. Yeah. There's very few. People say they are, but you look behind the scenes, they're not. You know what I mean? So props to what you're doing, man, for real.
Appreciate it.
Anything else you want to close off with?
I just appreciate you guys having me. I've been checking you out. I mean, the 4 water, and I appreciate even the connections that you guys are giving me and taking the time. And you guys have a beautiful setup, and I wish you guys the best.
Absolutely, man. Thank you. Let me know how we can support you in the future.
Absolutely, man.
For real.
Appreciate
Thanks for coming on. Thanks for watching, guys, as always. See you tomorrow.